Is it on mute?
Welcome once again, our dear viewers. My name is Wakake Emmanuel, and I'm going to be the moderator for this talk show. We had a talk show earlier on about gender-based violence in human trafficking, and today again we are going to discuss about the same. And with me, I have we have had another addition of a panelist. And today, we're also going to dig deeper in understanding gender-based violence in human trafficking. Ladies and gentlemen, join us as we again dig deep in this conversation. I'm going to make introductions, and with me on the right, I have someone from the Salvation Army, Captain Stephen. You're most welcome.
Thank you, sir.
And you can greet our viewers.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Captain Stephen Moya. I am the Development Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Captain, and you're most welcome to this show.
Thank you.
Also with me again, I have Miss Julian. Miss Julian, thank you so much for joining us again today. And please do you mind greeting our viewers today.
Hello viewers, once again my name is Julian Ongodia and I'm the Research Policy and Advocacy Coordinator, the Anti-Human Trafficking Project in the Salvation Army. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julian. Thank you so much, Captain, for coming. And for the next 1 hour, we are going to dig deeper in understanding the gender-based violence in human trafficking. As a recap, Miss Julian, just throw light on what gender-based violence is, in the layman's understanding.
Okay. Maybe we could first understand what gender is, and that will lead us to what gender-based violence is. Gender is basically, in simple terms, refers to the roles or those expectations that society expects of a man or a woman, those that have been deemed appropriate in society. So basically we are talking about society norms, you know. So once those norms are violated, now they become gender-based violence. Now, gender-based violence refers to those harmful actions. Now, these harmful actions are embedded in power dynamics. Some of them are sexual abuse. We have seen physical abuse, and that's where we see domestic violence. We have seen emotional abuse, which involves even gaslighting, if you like. We have seen economic abuse, where a certain gender dominates the other when it comes to maybe financial management, you know. So it's a series. It's a pile of abusive behaviors that are imposed on a certain gender. In this particular case, we have seen women and girls who have suffered this kind of gender-based violence most. We are not saying that the men do not suffer, but like we say, the statistics don't lie. We have seen that 1 in 3 women are the ones that have suffered violence. Most. So if the men can be able to come out, well, that will be good. But for now, as the women who talk, that's why you will see the statistics are, you know, a little bit high. So gender-based violence is basically the kind of abuse, and name them: social, emotional, physical, psychological, all those kinds of abuse where a particular gender subjects a subordinate gender, so that, you know, they feel like they have the power. Yes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vivian. I'm understanding more about the thing of gender-based violence. Okay. And maybe before I bring in Captain, you are from the Salvation Army. Ms. Julian has already told us about gender-based violence. Maybe for our viewers to understand more about Salvation Army, could you throw more light about Salvation Army? What does it do in general?
The Salvation Army is a church, and it is also a faith-based organization, a charitable organization. We preach the word of God, and we also try our best to meet human needs. Where we say where there is a need, there is the Salvation Army. So basically what we do is, apart from preaching the word of God, we also make sure that we look at areas where people are suffering, and we try our level best to see how we can reduce or even deal with the suffering that people go through. So what we do normally is that we make sure that we spread our wings and make sure that we are dealing with people, and we do this without discrimination. Yeah.
So that's basically what Salvation Army stands.
Yeah.
And in your introduction, you mentioned your role as the development secretary. Could you throw more light about your role? Because in development, I really means setting up something.
Development is a broad term. So what my role basically involves looking after the development work of the Salvation Army in the territory. When we talk of the development work, we are talking about community development projects. We also do mission support projects. We also do our level best to respond to emergencies, especially when we have disasters around the country. We try our level best and try to help those who have been affected in one way or another. So when we talk of development, we are looking at the broader sense of the term, that we are involved in community development, and we also are looking at the development of the church in terms of mission. So development office is in charge of mission support development, and also the community development, where we go into the community, whether we have our presence there or not, as Salvation Army. So that's why I began by saying we do so without discrimination. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. I mean, I think you're really having a very busy office. Yeah. And I think this is how you come on this panel, because you deal with the community, you understand issues that are in the community, and as Ms. Julian talked about, gender-based violence is something that is within the community, and from your explanation is Salvation Army response to such issues. Maybe before I go back to Ms. Julian, I'm still with you, Captain. What is Salvation Army doing in regards to gender-based violence? Maybe just for purpose of understanding, because you say it's you do the development office, you do a broader issue that you deal with, but in particular gender-based violence. What is the Salvation Army doing?
Thank you very much, Emma. The Salvation Army is involved in a lot of work, and like you've said, when it comes to gender-based violence, we are trying to reduce and also respond by raising awareness. We create awareness. We also try our level best to make sure that we are responding to the root causes. Issues to do with poverty, where you find homes are not stable and there's violence because people are desperate. They don't have enough food and all these things. So we, as an office, we are doing community development projects that deal with economic empowerment. And through the economic empowerment that we do in the society, we found out that gender-based violence cases have significantly reduced, because now people are able to have something that they can support themselves and their livelihoods. We also do agricultural food and nutrition. We also do other issues like WASH projects. So when we are dealing with the community, these issues, and especially the issue of gender, is a cross-cutting issue that comes out in all our programs that we are doing. And so we create awareness. And apart from the creation of the awareness, as an organization, we have a gender policy. This policy protects people and also guides our employees and our members on how they are supposed to deal with a certain gender. So we make sure that when people are coming to our organization, they are aware of our gender policy. We also have a child protection policy. If you are working with the children in our organization or in the communities within which we work, you have to comply with these policies. And the reason why we are doing this is because we are trying to curb the issues of gender violence and also abuse against children and all that.
I think that's quite great work the Salvation Army is doing. And from what your explanation is, there are community projects that are already in place.
Yes.
And I happen to understand one of it is a project that fights against human trafficking. And we are trying to see how gender-based violence is enrooted in human trafficking.
Yeah.
And maybe Miss Julia, you work directly with that human trafficking project.
Yes.
You as a research policy and advocacy coordinator, what could be the cause of human trafficking? Because we understand it is in our communities. What could be the main cause of human trafficking?
Okay, thank you. Obviously, the main cause which cuts across is poverty. Poverty is the major cause. Of course, there are these other causes, unemployment. They want to look for economic empowerment and all that, but poverty is actually the major cause of human trafficking, because human trafficking in itself, if you look at its definition, it's the transfer of the person from one place to another. And why is the transferring happening? It's because they are looking for greener pastures. So I believe it is poverty that is the main cause of human trafficking. And maybe to just bring it out clearly is we cannot eliminate, poverty in the society. We can only provide, let me call them pillars in place that can help to reduce. You can never alleviate poverty unless if you are a philanthropist of sorts. But what we do, like Captain has explained, we have projects in place that help to empower our communities, to help them avoid being re-trafficked. We have projects in place, community initiatives that have been, that are community-based, where they themselves, they come up with these initiatives to be able to fight this thing, to be able to take back their children to school, because we have seen that human trafficking does not just happen among adults, they also happen among the young children. We have seen a lot of child trafficking and exploitation happening. So what are those initiatives that are in place that the anti-human trafficking project has put in place to avoid our communities from being susceptible to being re-trafficked? Yes, so poverty is the major cause of human trafficking.
Yeah, so we can say that the causes, because this is why I see the causes of human trafficking are more similar with The ones of gender-based violence.
For gender-based violence, maybe we can say that what are the fuelers that fuel gender-based violence? I will just point out one particular one: power dynamics. Like I said, gender is basically the roles or the expectations that a society expects of a man and of a woman. I'll give you an example. Society, there are particular tribes, say in Uganda, that expects a woman to kneel when they are greeting the elder, you know, that they expect you to serve, you know, while kneeling. You see, that norm is okay if it is not abused, you know. It's good. It's a sign of respect when you kneel. But if in this instance, if the man forces me to kneel, I will kneel physically, but when the heart is no. is upright, you know. I have had an experience where I went to visit a relative, and they are rooted in their culture. And the lady of the house pulled my hand to kneel to greet the husband, and then the other person said, no, you may have forced her to kneel, but if it has not come from her, yes, from herself, it does not make sense. Yeah, so there are those norms. They are good. Why? Because they are basically supposed to instill morals in us. But if we misuse them, if we feel that there's a particular gender that must do this, then we abuse, yes, we abuse these things. So the fueler, the major fueler is in the power dynamics. Maybe the thing is, how are we able to help the men and the women to be able to understand that they can use this power in a good way and then not be able to abuse it? Because we will have, for example, the woman who knows, okay, kneeling is okay, but this man has been raised in such a way that he's been told, wherever you go, even a Mzungu must kneel for you, and you know, they feel offended. So there are those fuelers, and they are hidden under the power dynamics thing.
So that draws a bit of a slight difference between gender-based violence and human trafficking.
Yes. Now, the similarity comes at the end result. It's both exploitation. You exploiting both human trafficking and gender-based violence involves exploitation. Both of them, they involve exploiting the vulnerable group. Yes, so they are more or less like similar. It's just in the definitions, really.
Okay. Yeah. Captain, there's something that Miss Julian has talked about, the culture aspect. Salvation Army is a Christian movement. How do you maneuver through this thing where there is culture and then we have religion, which is Christianity, and I think there's a time when is there a compromise as Salvation Army in the response that within our communities, or how do we front issues of culture?
Number one, I would like to state that religion plays a very key role when it comes to the issues of directing or influencing a particular person or a group, the behavior of a particular person or a group. So in as much as we know that we have cultural issues and we have ethnic issues, religion plays a very key role. And one of the things is that the religious leaders have a power to influence their members, to influence the people that are under them. And like you've seen, sometimes even though this power is abused, you see that it is taken as the gospel truth. Whatever the religious leader says is taken as the gospel truth. I can give examples of where we have seen people being misled because somebody said you need to do this, and then all people took that as gospel truth, and they decided to do that, and because they feel obliged to respect and obey their leader. So what I'm trying to say is religious leaders have this power of influence. And so, to me, I think they should use this positively, so that they can influence in such a way that the cultural activities that we have, because these members who come from this particular culture are the members they have in their churches. They can use their cultural activities and also behaviors in a positive way that does not infringe on the rights of other people. So if the religious leaders understood that dynamic, it would be easier for people to maneuver through these cultural behaviors and practices. Yeah.
I think in the last discussion we had an example by one of the panelists from one of the community, I think the issue of circumcision, when there's a transition from a man to from a boy to a man. And in that transition, in his explanation was, they are taught certain things that you are a man. And I think as there is the gender issue, the power of I like saying the hero issue in men, that you see a man here. How is Salvation Army doing in this perspective? Of course, Captain has talked about the religious leaders using the platform, you know, and what in your implementation of the project, what do you do specifically to handle this issue?
Okay, what we have mainly do is really raise awareness. And I believe that is the most, I think, important, I believe the most important approach to communities that whose culture is kind of rooted deep. I'll tell you, we still have the FGM, in as much as we have a law against it, you know. Yeah, so for me it comes back to, it cascades back to the point of raising awareness in the communities to make them aware of their rights, to help these women to understand that I can say no to FGM. Do you know why FGM was put in place even?
Maybe you can tell us to understand.
Okay. They say that when a woman has gone through this kind of mutilation, that they become sweeter. But it is not true. Well, I have not gone through it, but it is not true. It is such an excruciating experience, and I believe it even kills those feelings. I think so. But it's an experience that is selfish, that this dominant gender has used it to their selfish benefits. So, so it's important that the women and the girls get to understand why there's this bill, this law against this FGM. It's not for just for social benefits, but also generally speaking. We have seen there have been women that have died because of going through that kind of experience. And then there's a lot of emotional abuse that they go through. So what we do in our project, we raise awareness. We raise awareness, keeping in mind that there are cultures that are in existence, but how are we able to blend in so that we get them to understand that, well, these norms are good, but use them so that we are able to get the benefits, you know, thereof. I see this circumcision thing has really given the men the power, and you know, you find a man who is culturally circumcised, you know, who feels a woman's ideas are nothing, who feels they shouldn't listen to a woman. The fact that they have listened to even family decisions, even in marriage, you know, they are the god in the family, you know. So I think circumcision in itself is good because it comes with health benefits. But now when we add